Welcome back to 8-Bit Debaters. We definitely haven't done this back-to-back on the bounce. Once again, it's going to be another one-on-one, mano-a-mano, where me and Jordi will fight out again. And this week we will be going through favourite sports game and what game would make the best TV show. So stick around for those answers. And once again, you will be the judge of the mass debate. It's not going to be us. Still against two. So no judge. Right, we'll kick things off very quickly with the mass debate. No, the icebreaker.
Oh.
Got you there.
The icebreaker.
So, what is your favourite sports game? That is, many people seem to avoid the answer or the question, just the entire genre. But I think we'll find out. We'll dig deep inside ourselves and find out what is our favourite sports game. Jordi, hello and welcome again and joining me and being my company for another week.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. I was the only one available.
Yes, you were.
Yeah.
But I am happy you're along. You're always good fun to have in these podcasts. That's why we keep you.
Yeah. For favorite sports game, I went with one that people might not be happy with because they might think that's not a sport, and I went with more like a series, and I went with the WWE 2K series.
I'll accept that. Yeah, it's
SmackDown versus
sport.
Raw. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll count it as a sport.
It's very good, and it's very you have to be strategic, and there's just way more stuff to do than normal sports games. Normal sports games are just like you get the ball from one end of the field to the other and repeat, or you hit the ball or some kind of balls. But with wrestling, with WWE, it's you have to figure out how to defeat your opponent, how to kill him, sort of. Just how to... It's so much fun, and there's so much stuff to do, and there's so many great characters. And I say characters. But yeah, it's brilliant, and people should play it more. And
yeah, there's an awesome custom creation in WWE. I think it is one of the standout features I seem to always hear about. And it is a very fun game. I do remember playing it way back on the Nintendo 64, whatever WWE that was, or was it WWF as well? I cannot remember.
WWF, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it was good fun, and it does count as a sport. It's a very athletic thing, regardless of if it's rigged or not. It's more acting, but yeah, well, I'll definitely count it, and I do agree. It is a very fun game to play. There's a lot going on, smacking people with ladders, just annoying someone by beating them down constantly. So yeah, a great choice. Mine would be more traditional, and literally the two biggest sports games, either FIFA or Madden. I am the basic of bitches. I know. I've chosen the two main sports games in a way. I mean, I've avoided NBA because I really don't like that game. But yes, FIFA and Madden, I think are the two I'll go for. I more favour FIFA over Madden because I play it more often. And it is just, right. I mean, I do enjoy playing a bit of footy every now and then. And I get to live out my dreams of trying to be good at football by being good at football on the in the imaginary sense. And smacking a ball from the halfway line, watching it sail into the goal on a team that I've lowered to amateur difficulty so I can score 20 goals against them and make myself feel really good.
What's your favourite FIFA?
Oh, favourite FIFA. They are all the same. There is very little difference. I mean, I'm playing FIFA 18 now because I'm playing pro clubs in it, which is both fun and horrible at the same time, because when you're playing badly and just getting your ass handed to you, it is the worst feeling in a game to just be shitty and not be able to do anything because someone's just clearly better than you, and then you're letting your whole team down, and it's a whole thing. But when you're winning and you're having fun, it can be quite entertaining. I will also give a little shout out to Rugby 08. Not many rugby games are out there, and I am disappointed. Massive rugby player, rugby fan, and it is my sport of choice. And seeing there aren't that many games out there that kind of to the level of FIFA and Madden does disappoint me, because I think you could have a lot of fun with it, and I did enjoy FIFA 08. FIFA. I think it was just Rugby 08 and then Rugby World Cup 2010. I love them. Great games. So yeah, we'll move on now to the mass debate.
The Master Beat.
So this week we are going through what is the best, or what game would make the best TV show. So we're picking a game or a series of games, and we're going to try and sell you the TV show on them. So we're going to pretend we're executive producers. We've written up this great idea for a new TV show, and we're pitching it to the bigwigs who can finance us. And this is going to be quite interesting because games and movies and TV shows haven't traditionally gone that well. So, Jordi, how are you going to overturn this curse and actually make a good video game TV show?
I am going to go for a game that was made into a web series, actually. I think maybe 5 years ago. It was on Machinima, I think. And that was Mortal Kombat. And Mortal Kombat, it made Mortal Kombat Legacies. And the Mortal Kombat Legacies web series showed how much potential a Mortal Kombat TV show has. Because it was just brilliant the way they adapted everyone's origin and storyline into the main plot was great. And I think if this went to HBO, I think this would make for a very great R-rated TV show where, much like Game of Thrones, also owned by HBO, anyone could die at any point. And I think
that's what you want.
Yeah, and I think if they do it right, they can have, if they bring in the correct people, you could have a really good martial arts show on your hands. Because I think you don't really have that many, like, these days. Game of Thrones made fantasy, it brought back fantasy, really, because we hadn't had something so great since Lord of the Rings. Westworld's brought back sort of Western, and I think if you have Mortal Kombat, you can bring back, like, martial arts, kung fu, just all that genre, bring it back, make it great again.
Well, that's a very good pitch. I mean, Mortal Kombat is a good choice, and I do like the idea of bringing martial arts back because there are some good martial arts films about, not many TV shows. So, good pitch, Jordi. Mine would be BioShock. It's not one that you do really think of as a TV series, BioShock, but I think it's so different and so unique in kind of how it is, but also a very good story that it follows along quite linearly, and you don't make that many choices that impact the story. Because I know a lot of games, I would have 100% chosen Mass Effect, but because of just the amount of choices you can make, people go, well, that's not Mass Effect, they've just chosen the popular opinions and all that. So I've gone for BioShock because it's a fairly linear story. It's a completely different world. You go down into Rapture, you experience an underwater, almost dystopian world that has been ravaged, and you have to avoid splices, and you have to unravel the story of who Atlas is, who's talking to you, who Ryan is, who's meant to be this antagonist, who you are essentially, why you survived this massive plane crash. There's a huge opportunity for the spectacular visuals to be done, and then to completely reimagine Rapture would be something I'd love to see in a TV show. I mean, I would say I would more edit it for a movie, but the fact is you can put it in a lot more detail in a TV show, and I think some of the aspects of Rapture deserve a bit more sort of depth going into, instead of trying to gloss over them into a 3-hour movie. So a TV series will give you plenty of room for that. Maybe like one of those mini series, sort of like Band of Brothers and The Pacific, that esque sort of 10, 12, 1-hour episodes that you can really get into. And you introduce yourselves to the big daddies and the little sisters, and kind of you add a little bit of a thriller horror aspect to it, as well as the action that you get, and then you can inject yourself with all the nice goo stuff and get yourself a few powers, add a bit of fantasy in there as well. Why not? Throw it all in there, take down all the evil and save the day. And then obviously there's always the twist in the end. I mean, spoilers for BioShock 1 if you haven't played it by now and know the story. I would maybe skip ahead a little bit. But you find out, you finally find Ryan, this is meant to be this big antagonist, and he says you're his illegitimate child who was taken by Fontaine, or whatever, how you say that, I think it's Fontaine, to the surface, aged really quickly so you could come back and essentially destroy Ryan, and so Fontaine can take over Rapture. And then you find out that the real bad guy Fontaine was actually Atlas, who has brainwashed you with the phrase "will you kindly," and you are just being used as a pawn. And so there's a lot of twists and turns and stories and kind of decisions that you have to make, well, not decisions you have to make, but the sort of character development and just ways that the main character Jack will need to figure out how to proceed. And then obviously, because Bioshock has multiple games, you can go, like, there's multiple series. You can go through Bioshock 2 and 3 and then spin-offs when it goes into different worlds, so it doesn't have to connect. And I think there is a lot of value in all that. So there we go. We've pitched our two games. We have Bioshock and we have Mortal Kombat, two very, very good games. But which one makes the better TV show? So now we'll go into a little bit of a fight, try and discuss, amicably argue, and leave open-ended question. Again, we'll just stop it when we feel we've had enough. I think Jordi has the martial arts side of things, so we'll try not to get into a physical fight. So yeah,
Sure.
he's getting into his WWE moves already. He's picked 2 games ready to fight me with. So yeah, and then we'll just randomly we'll decide we've had enough, end it, and then the decision is up to you. When we're going to give no winner here, it's going to be decision. So fight.
Well, would your Bioshock series, would that follow every game beat by beat, the story?
I mean, it would try and follow the linear story, so sort of the main story missions kind of as they go along, as the plot develops, instead of sort of you can have your plot and then you can like do a little bit of things and there are some hidden things here and there. So it would follow the main plot line, and obviously, as TV shows tend to do, they'll embellish on a few things. I'll add a few discrepancies that they think fit in well, maybe throw in like a little bit of a different vibe to different areas, but it will continue along the same story. And in terms of the different games, I think the ones that follow along essentially like the Rapture storyline, and from the first game, they will be put into seasons, so like they can go into several different seasons, or if they want to split up the seasons between the games in different seasons, that's up to whoever produces. But I'll see one season is one game, another season will be another linear game. Right. And then for the games that don't quite line up linearly, so I think Bioshock 3 maybe goes into like a different player. Well, I think one of them kind of slightly varies from the main storyline. That can be either a spin-off or put as a prequel right. to the main story. And so you can put it out as different seasons, and then if one doesn't fit into the storyline, it becomes a spin-off or it becomes the prequel, depending on how it fits in.
Right. Because, yeah, I just wondering like how it could go, because you have like the season storylines worked out, but how would episode by episode go if like what's the main guy called? Jack. Yeah, what would he be doing? What other characters would there be? Would they be likable and relatable? I mean, and diverse.
In terms of the main, like the game story, Jack is the only like main protagonist. There's no like kind of huge main character. There are obviously people who try and help him, and other big like protagonists and antagonists, sort of Atlas and Ryan at the beginning are kind of the Atlas at the beginning is the big protagonist as well, but obviously it's a radio voice, so there is no main character attached to it. And right. Ryan is the main antagonist, and you don't really see much of Ryan until the end of the game, so the end of the season, which would make sense in a normal TV show as well. And then you also have what's it? What is the doctor's name? I'm gonna put that. Tenenbaum, who is the Doctor, who kind of help, like, because when you first meet the big daddies and little sisters, he's the one who kind of tells you don't kill them, as you're instructed to do by Atlas, but like, I'll give you this plasmid that like extracts things and you can save them.
Right. And
so sort of you have these kind of side characters as well who will join in the story. So the season will follow Jack on by himself, but as like each episode will be filled with different people kind of coming in, and then you fight sort of in the game, you fight bosses and mini bosses around, and they'll be sort of episodic, really kind of in different, because it's split up into several different areas in the game, and sort of like a few episodes will be based in each area. End of episode will be meeting the main villain of that area, dealing with them and carrying on, whilst the overall story just continues throughout the season. So that's how it will be broken down. And
Surely that would get very like repetitive.
No, because I mean each area gives you new sort of powers, and you kind of like find new weapons essentially, and so sort of the TV show can be broken down into finding out these powers, learning to control them, and then it will change the way he slightly does things, because I mean it changes your play style, and obviously people prefer different styles and combinations. I mean the TV show completely nerfed the fact that he gets these like these powers essentially, and will just go as the killing and gunning as he does, or they can sort of they'll pick and choose a couple of to focus on instead of maybe a player's favorite combination of gun and power.
Right.
And then obviously he'll use little bits. So there's definite variation for the areas, and it's not just a single plot. But I'll quickly have a go into Mortal Kombat, because we focused a lot on Bioshock.
Okay.
If I am correct in thinking, Mortal Kombat was made very unsuccessfully into a movie that I think John will have a go at me for saying it was terrible.
I think multiple movies.
It's not had a great track record of going onto the screen. It's been on the big screen, but
it's been on the big screen, but
it hasn't got a great track record. So how do you plan on changing that?
Having good quality writing, good sets, not a lot of green screen. You just have a lot of like open sets, and I think that's why I wanted to be with HBO, because I think if it's very high budget, big budget even, then it would do well potentially, because especially with that's why the web series did so good, because each episode sort of, especially in the first season, because there was multiple seasons, I think it focused on each character, and then in the second season brought them in because it actually started going into the plot of Mortal Kombat, which would be it would be a similar plot, but I think with each episode wouldn't be it's a fight. It would be like, oh, it's a fight, and it shows like you meet a character at the beginning and you really like him, and then he dies in the first fight, and you're like, okay, this has stakes. Got to choose my favorites wisely. And you get to meet all these characters, and there's like quite a lot of time between each fight, so you can have a storyline of a group of fighters teaming up, and they're like, all right, how are we going to like get out of here or stop Shao Kahn?
You pick your own pronunciation.
Shao Kahn.
Run with it. Be confident.
Yeah, and I just think there's so many great characters in this that you can fall in love with and relate to. Not relate to, but and it's great for fan casting, because you have I want what's his face from the Raid, Iko Uwais, who I think he's the main guy in the Raid. He'd be Liu Kang, and then you can just have so many. I think a fan favorite is Michael J. White as Jax, and then a lot of people. Everyone always thinks of for Johnny Cage. People either think of Ryan Reynolds or Chris Pratt. I don't think we'd be able to get them.
Dolph Lundgren.
Dolph Lundgren. I think it would be such a great opportunity for actors to rise up in the ranks. If we get like low, like with Game of Thrones, the only like massive actor we got was Sean Bean, and he didn't last long. There
were a few that have cropped up that I've gone, oh yeah, he was in Game of Thrones after watching Game of Thrones.
Well, yeah, because the Game of Thrones would have boosted their.
Oh no, but like they've been in stuff before.
Yeah, but would you have thought of them after watching that, going, oh, this guy was a standout, without watching Game of Thrones first?
No, but I rarely do that with with big actors anyway. I go back and go, oh shit, that was him. But I think a few things that I'll pick up with Mortal Kombat is I haven't played the game in a while. Isn't the game sort of you pick one character and you go through it? Instead of like this massive
the storyline is that there's this world called Other Realm.
That sounds about right.
I think so. Yeah, and Shao Kahn basically summons people from different realms, like Johnny Cage from our realm, and other people like Scorpion and Sub-Zero, and basically it's a tournament to fight everyone. I think that's a really cool plot for
But
a TV series.
In terms of making it the TV series from the actual game, then all you have is some sort of gladiatorial type martial arts tournament that kind of focuses on whatever character you pick at the beginning. Because if the game is you play as one character trying to go through the tournament, then surely the TV show should reflect that. And the only reason that the TV show has this now expanded story is because people have written a movie and a TV show around it. So instead of having the game, it's like...
You'd have to focus on every character equally. I don't think you can focus on one character. Because if you focus on one character, then that means, this character's sort of going to get through the tournament quite
that's kind of like that's kind of like how it is in the game. So instead of you're making a TV show based on the game, you're making a TV show based on a story that is loosely revolving around the game. So it's kind of like several steps removed from the actual game itself.
Because I don't think if you base a TV show on the way the game plays, I don't think you can make an intriguing story there. I don't think you can develop the characters enough.
Then it may not be the best game for a TV show. It might be a good story.
It's not the game style, but I'm just saying from a franchise standpoint, if you take Mortal Kombat, then that could be a great TV show if you do it so that, and then you can have great cinematography with a fight starting in the classic style with the wide shot of the two fighters standing on either side of the screen.
I never like that when that goes into 3D. It just looks so bad when that's in 3D.
And then somehow they'd work in fight or finish him. Oh wait, because it's Shao Kahn. Yeah, because they're fighting in front of Shao Kahn, so he'd say finish him. And you can have... Who could play Shao Kahn? Dave Bautista. I don't know. Someone really big.
And there's many of those about The Rock.
Yeah.
Good old Dwayne. He'll play a bad guy. He loves it. Scorpion King. He's already got the pedigree.
Yeah. Get. Yeah. There's so many great characters in it though, and I think it would be brilliant because it's such a great world. And after the tournament, whatever happens, there could be a plot twist. Anyone could win. Basically the survivors of the first season sort of there's any way it can go after the first season.
That's sort of, instead of like making the TV show based on the game, that's more just going, right, we've kind of made the fight, now we're just gonna write whatever we want and attach the names to it, so we're not actually making it on the game anymore.
There's so much potential to make great story from continuing on from the first game, but you're going, all right, the series is going to basically follow BioShock 1 and then BioShock 2 and then BioShock 3,
which in its original format is a good storyline. It's a great setting. It's already got the adversaries, it's already got the trials and tribulations and then the twists and all that is needed to make a great story. It's already got that in the game, and then you can embellish on a little bit here and there and maybe add a few side characters to round it off and complete it into a great series. But the core concept is there, and you don't need to sort of create this massive story outside of the game trying to make it based off it to make it a good TV show. I mean, I think the only things they may add are at the beginning, sort of they may add a bit more of the plane crash sequence instead of just like it kind of cuts in like in and out and then they're in the water and it's like a plane crash. It may add a bit more of going into that, and then we'll extend a few scenes out a bit more.
I think BioShock would work better as a film, to be honest.
I think there's too much going on for it to really translate into a film. It would have to cut off so many different aspects and like remove a lot of the story, which is the struggle with with how a lot of films go when they're based on books and TV and games. Like that's the issue with a lot of them.
But how many TV shows have like at least 4 characters only, like exclusively every episode?
I mean, because it wouldn't just be 4 characters. Obviously, you meet a lot of other people, but they wouldn't be the main characters. I mean, a lot of shows have 4 main characters.
No, but I'm talking about like because isn't Rapture like sort of, it's not isolate, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not abandoned, but there are very few people.
I mean, there are like bandits and splicers trying to attack you, and kill you and chop you up and take stuff and add stuff. It's a whole thing. So there are adversaries to go around, which will be your typical like bad guy bandits, like just random kill them. They're done. They're a little problem, so we'll sort them. Then you've also got the big daddies, the little sisters, Dr. Tenenbaum, and then throughout the rest of the series, so Bioshock 2 and 3 and all that, you have other characters emerging as well. So it's not just the one. It starts off as the one with a couple of voices, and then expands into a world, into a story. So that's how that one will go. I'll let you have your final point, attack or defense, or both.
I think the way you're pitching Bioshock, I think each episode is in danger of becoming very repetitive. Like, here's Jack, he's going through Rapture. Oh, there's a bad guy, right? Kills him, okay. And then the next episode, here's Jack, here's another bad guy. Kills him. I think that's what makes Walking Dead sort of boring and repetitive. So I think...
Yeah, but that's like 20 seasons on.
Yeah, but you're doing that. They do it seasonally, you're doing it episodically. So I think it could get boring quickly. Arrow, that's a better sort of analogy.
I did actually quite like Arrow.
Yeah, but they have a bunch of characters. But with Mortal Kombat, I think you have this rich world that's full of story, and you're not locked down by the boundaries of the first game, because the game doesn't really have a story per se. You just have, right, you go through a bunch of these guys, you pick a character, you go through, win the game. But with the series, you have like potential to get different characters and have these massive, like, next time on Mortal Kombat you get Liu Kang versus Scorpion, and you're like, oh, who's gonna win? Because you'll never know who's gonna win, because it can either end up with your favorite character dying, it can end up with maybe a character refusing to kill another guy, maybe something else happens, and I think it just has a lot more potential than a Bioshock series.
I'll leave my final point as I think the Mortal Kombat TV show you're pitching is more based on Mortal Kombat the movie and the web series rather than Mortal Kombat the game. It's kind of only a loose affiliation to the game. Yeah, but it's like a loose affiliation. It doesn't quite... It's right. We're going to take the concept of the game, take the characters, and make our own story.
Well, we couldn't have each episode be 10 or 5 minutes of two people.
Yeah, that's why the game doesn't make a best TV show. And I think that's where we'll leave it. We both said some very good points. We fought very hard against each other. We've had our attacks and defenses, and now it is up to you to decide who do you think wins. Do you think Jordi put across a great point and all my attacks were moot and didn't really count? Or do you think I had a very good argument and what Jordi's saying didn't really affect it too much? It is down to you. And obviously, if you have a better idea or your favourite game that you'd like to see turned into a TV show, put it in the comments below. So thank you very much for watching. We have been Twisted Bar Gaming, and you've watched the 8-Bit Debaters podcast. You can find us on youtube.com/Twisted Bar Gaming, and very popular podcast providers, iTunes and Spotify, I think are two of the main ones. We also on YouTube do our One Life review series, where we try and get as far through a game as we can in one life, or just laughing at each other. One Life minis. We have our features, which we put out, are very varied, about lists about different games, or the backstory and some history on some things you may not know. So go check those out. We also have our streams on Thursdays and Saturdays. Pop by, join our Discord, social medias, everything will be in the description below. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next week once again. Bye.
Bye.